Hello YouTube, my name is Rachel Mayo. Welcome to my channel and thank you for being here. I'm going to be talking about the solar eclipse new moon that's happening on the 4th of December 2021. This new moon is happening in the sign of Sagittarius at around 12 degrees of Sagittarius. So what is a solar eclipse? A solar eclipse happens when there's a new moon that is conjunct the transiting karmic nodes, that is the south node and the north node, also known as Ketu and Rahu in Vedic astrology. This particular eclipse is a south node eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius. That is where the transiting south node is at this particular time. What makes this lunation so important and so special is the fact that it is the last eclipse in the Gemini Sagittarius axis, which started about 18 and a half months ago. So 18 and a half months ago is when this story started and is about to conclude and is not going to come to this spot for another 18 and a half years. So we're all closing a big chapter in the Gemini Sagittarius axis in our own charts. So let's talk about the signs who are going to feel this energy very intensely. The sign of a Sagittarius, of course, because this is happening conjunct your ascendant or your sun or whatever planet that is you have in Sagittarius. I'm also going to talk about how it's going to affect you if it's conjuncting a planet in your own natal birth chart. So listen to this video all the way till the end. The signs that are going to be highly affected are Gemini and Sagittarius. Mostly Sagittarius because the solar eclipse is happening in your sign. And the other signs that are also going to be highly affected are Virgo and Pisces. Virgo and Pisces are receiving a square aspect to this lunation. They are going to be pushed to take action. Squares always pushes into taking action. The good thing about this is if the last 2 years or the last 18 and a half months have been really challenging for you, this is the closing eclipse. So the challenges that you've been having in that area, wherever those houses are in your own natal birth chart, is about to close down. So whatever issues that have been pending and just dragging on, they're probably going to come to a close either at this lunation or within the next 6 months. Essentially, that means that whatever karma you had to receive or pay out is going to be completed. The other people who also feel this lunation intensely are people who have angles, points, or planets at around 12 degrees of the signs, the mutable signs that I mentioned: Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces. If you have anything on those, or if you have anything at 12 degrees, a few degrees before or a few degrees after, that point is going to be activated and will be active and giving you result and will be activated for up to 6 months. If you don't feel anything happen at the time of the eclipse, if there's no event that occurs in your life, that's because perhaps you don't have anything at that particular highlighted degree. Or maybe the event is going to occur later when Mars passes the degree of the lunation of the solar eclipse. I think Mars is going to pass 15 degrees of Sagittarius towards the end of December. So if you don't feel anything now, you're definitely going to feel something else happen towards the end of the month due to the activation of Mars. Mars is the planet that wants action and makes things happen. So just pay attention to the energies and see what it is that the universe is asking you to finally let go of. This is not karma you want to keep holding on to, because it will stay with you because it will stay with you for another 18 and a half years. This is your moment to release what needs to go. So the strongest aspect of this solar eclipse is that Sagittarius makes aspects to Mercury, Saturn, and Uranus. The other really strong aspect at this lunation is that there is a quincunx aspect to this lunation. A quincunx aspect is a knowing aspect. It's a point where we need to, it's like two planets seeing each other but not agreeing about where to take the conversation. So perhaps with the quincunx aspect, we may have to agree to disagree on certain matters. it would be a great idea to keep an open mind at this solar eclipse. Have flexibility and be willing to try different ways of solving situations or problems that may come up at this solar eclipse. When we're looking at a lunation, we always have to locate the ruling planet of the lunation. In this case, the ruling planet of the lunation is Jupiter. Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. And as you can see, there is a conjunction of the sun and the moon in the sign of Sagittarius. And Mercury, the planet Mercury, is also conjunct this lunation. Let's keep in mind that Mercury rules the sign of Gemini, where the North Node is currently transiting. So Mercury is in detriment in the sign of Sagittarius. It's in detriment because it's in the opposite side. Mercury will highlight the truth. It will bring the truth to the South Node, and it's going to make you look at what is true, what are the details, what is fact. We're not going to do the whole bigger picture way of looking at things of Sagittarius. They say Sagittarius is the planet of truth. Truth can be what you believe to be true, but it does not necessarily make it to be the truth. And when Mercury is transiting in the sign of Sagittarius, there is a tendency to speak without thinking about other people's feelings. So Mercury transiting in the sign of Sagittarius, where it's a detriment, is like verbal diarrhea. The perfect example is when people just try and force their own belief system onto others, or make big tall tales and want people to believe that to be the truth. A Sagittarian could tell you the sky is yellow and you will believe. They will make you believe the sky is yellow. So we all know that the sky is not yellow. The sky is blue. So if you were thinking that the sky is yellow, this is the time to stop thinking that, because the South Node is asking you to release those false beliefs that are not yours. It's asking you to go to the North Node in Gemini and see what is true and what is real, based on fact, truth, science, or whatever it is that is going to determine the truth. And this all depends on whatever issues that you're dealing with. I don't know what kind of Kool-Aid you've been drinking or making others drink. They're going to stop believing in you at this time. This is the time to let go of beliefs that no longer serve you, beliefs that are not going to do anything for your future or the future of your children or the generations to come. It's time to release the lies we tell others, our children, or perhaps the lies we even tell ourselves. This eclipse is asking you to release that so you can go into the future with the right information. Since Mercury is a big part of this lunation, in that it rules the North Node, where we should go, and is transiting the South Node, bringing information, there is also a quincunx from Mercury to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So perhaps some people are going to object to new and radical ways of doing things. Maybe it is time for you to start looking and examining new and radical ways, or perhaps for others it's time to rebel. Uranus is the planet that rules over the sign of Aquarius, and the sign of Aquarius is the sign of we the people. It is concerned with groups of people and is concerned about the rights of the groups of the people. We the people. So perhaps we the people are going to rebel at this time, because we don't want to believe the hype of the South Node. So there is a difficult point of negotiation with the South Node and new ways of doing things, and perhaps rebellion. Mars is still transiting his own sign, the sign of Scorpio. He's about to cross the degree of the previous lunar eclipse that we had in the sign of Taurus. When he reaches 27 degrees of Scorpio, he's going to oppose the previous lunation that we had. So if you didn't have an event at the previous lunar eclipse, you are probably going to have an event when Mars activates the eclipse point by opposing it. At this lunation, Mars is making a sextile to the planet Venus, who is transiting the sign of Capricorn and is almost conjunct the sign and he's almost conjunct planet Pluto, We also have to keep in mind that Venus is going to go retrograde around the 19th of December and is going retrograde conjunct Pluto. That is a heavy transit. I'm going to leave the discussion for the retrograde video. Mars being in sextile with Venus is a positive and harmonious aspect. This is going to bring some type of support this is going to bring some type of passion and support at the time of this lunation. At the same time, Venus is also sextiling Neptune, which is transiting his own sign in Pisces. So Venus and Pluto are both sextiling Neptune. This is another supportive aspect. So whatever losses that are going to happen in your life is still some type of other positive energy, that will support your evolution, your movement towards your North Node. If things are falling apart in your life at this lunation and you have to let go of ideals or higher belief systems that you've held on for a very long time, or perhaps a religion that you've believed in because you were born into that religion, and at this time you're letting go, there is some support. Mars is also making a trine to the planet Neptune. So I'm going to list the positive aspects of this lunation. Look to see if your planets, points, or angles at the degree of these positive aspects, because you want to look at that and use that energy to do something positive, to make something positive happen in your life. Mars is transiting his own sign, Scorpio, at around 23 degrees and is making a sextile to the planet Neptune, who is also powerful in the sign of Pisces at around 20 degrees. Neptune just recently went direct, so he is stationary direct at this lunation, making him even extra powerful. This is a very, very supportive aspect, so you need to look and see in your own chart where you have some positivity amongst all the letting go. Mars is trining Venus. So Mars and Venus are sextiling, which is really good, is positive and supportive energy. So find where these houses are. This is the area where you need to apply some energy in order to make, this is where you need to apply some efforts in order to make things happen. When we look into the sign of Capricorn, of course, we have transiting Juno, and I'm not going to go into Juno in this video. If you want to know about Juno, watch my previous video, the video on the lunar eclipse in Taurus. I did talk at length about, I did speak about Juno in that video. So Venus is right next to Pluto and about to conjunct Pluto, and they're both sextiling planet Neptune. So this is another area in your chart where you're going to have to apply some effort in order to move this energy and make something happen. The places where you're going to be forced to take action is in the sign of Aquarius. Saturn is around 9 degrees of Aquarius at this lunation and is making another square to the planet Uranus, transiting the sign of Taurus. This has been an ongoing aspect for the year 2021 and is going to culminate at the end of the year when they make their last square aspect at around Christmas. So Christmas is going to be very, very interesting this year. This is a challenging aspect. Uranus does not like to transit the sign of Taurus because Taurus is a fixed sign and wants things to stay the same. This square is pushing Uranus to make changes in the area of Taurus. What does Taurus rule? It rules over our money, our food, our banking system. It also rules over the family that we make with others. But most of all, Taurus is the sign that rules over how we make a living. So Uranus is in this sign trying to change and shake up this house in regards to those issues. And Saturn is transiting his own sign in the sign of Aquarius, which he rules. So Saturn is comfortable in this house because it's his house. And in this house, he's bringing restriction, rules, and regulations to the people. I did mention previously that Uranus is the natural ruler of the 11th house, the house of the people. Saturn also co-rules the sign of Aquarius, which is the natural 11th house of the zodiac. This situation could be likened to your parents arguing or disagreeing about an issue. One parent, the more stricter parent, has rules and regulation that he wants the other parent to enforce. A perfect example could be your father is the one who controls the money and the budget and is telling your mother what she can cook, what should be on the menu, and what she could buy. And your mother is probably rebelling because she does not want to be told by your father what to do in the kitchen. In reality, since Saturn also rules over authority figures, the government, a big money, because Saturn is also the ruler, because Saturn rules Capricorn, the sign which rules the natural 10th house of the zodiac, which rules over all the things that I just mentioned. Saturn rules 2 houses, Capricorn and Aquarius. So essentially Saturn is bringing the restrictions, and Uranus wants to rebel over in the sign of Taurus, and this grand finale is happening around Christmas time. Definitely we are going to be looking at some further rules and regulations, perhaps even more restrictions. The other negative aspect happening at this lunation is that this lunation is squaring Neptune, who's transiting in his own sign of Pisces. The square between Neptune and Mercury can make things very confusing, can make information that we're hearing very hard to decipher between what is real and what is fake news, what is delusional, and what is Kool-Aid, who's making the Kool-Aid, how long have you been drinking the Kool-Aid. There is confusion, there is some type of confusion about the information, which information should actually be believed as truth at this lunation. This is why most astrologers will advise you not to make any life-changing decisions a month before or a month after the lunation. You probably don't have all the information in order to make a well-informed decision. So if you have any life-changing decisions that you need to make, I suggest that you wait a little bit after this eclipse point is activated. Wait until the end of the year if you can. But if you're receiving a square aspect in your own natal birth chart and you're pushed you're pushed to make a decision, or pushed to take action, then you have no choice. Try your best not to be the one that initiates making the big decisions, or jumping to take action without knowing what's really going on. The truth will be revealed, but it may not come as quickly as you want it to. Amidst all the rules and the regulations and the restrictions that Saturn is bringing on the people, Saturn is also bringing a healing channel, because Saturn at this lunation is sextiling the asteroid Chiron. Essentially, that means there is some type of healing in the houses that are involved in the sextile. But remember, with the sextiles, we always have to take some initiative. We just can't sit there and wait for things to come to us. This is the problem of sextiles and trines. They can tend to make you lazy. So even though people look at squares as bad aspects, they're not necessarily bad aspects. Squares can be really helpful for people who are procrastinators. When a serious planet like Saturn squares another planet in your natal birth chart, it's going to push you to take action. It's going to make events happen where you may have no choice but to go forward and act. So that's about all I'm going to talk about when it comes to the aspects. I'm sure there are other aspects in this lunation. I'm just not going to break down every single aspect. It might not even affect you depending on your own natal chart. Another thing that makes this particular solar eclipse important is that it's a south node eclipse. The north node eclipses tend to give us something. The south node eclipses are a point of release. So what are you releasing in your south node of Sagittarius? What does Sagittarius rule? Sagittarius is the natural 9th house of the zodiac. The 9th house rules over things like the justice system, foreign lands. Of course, that's going to include travel to foreign lands and, of course, a foreign people. It also rules over our higher belief system. It could be a higher belief system that was passed on to you by your ancestors, your grandparents, or perhaps even your parents. The ninth house also rules over the court system, judges. So we are going to have things come up in those areas. Higher education, colleges, universities are also subjects that fall under the ninth house. As you've seen over the last 18 months, there's been major changes to our education system. So we are definitely going to have to do some letting go in those areas as a society. Perhaps people are going to start letting go of the idea of the necessity of going to a 4-year college to get a degree so you can earn a living. The North Node in Gemini has been asking us to improve our skills, to learn new skills that can help us to earn a living. That is just perhaps one area of the ninth house. So you're going to see that there will be changes in the justice system. In all the things that I mentioned that rule the ninth house, there will be some letting go in those areas. Another thing, that when you look at a belief system, sometimes the belief system that is passed on to us by our ancestors, our parents, is not necessarily our own belief system. Perhaps we're not going to believe in what we were taught by our ancestors, and we're going to choose to believe something else that is based on facts and information, which can be found on the North Node in the sign of Gemini. So perhaps in your life you've been telling yourself a big lie. Perhaps you've been believing the big lie, or you've been believing other things that have been passed on to you as golden information. At this solar eclipse, you are going to know the truth. You are going to choose what is your truth, and you are also going to choose what truth you're going to follow. So it's definitely time to stop drinking that Kool-Aid. Whether you've been drinking your own Kool-Aid or somebody else's Kool-Aid, it's time to let it go and go to the North Node, to the truth in Gemini. Believe in the facts and the science and look at the details. See what something is saying to you. Is something really helping you? Are truths that are being fed to you by others really true? Look at the facts and the details. Are you really seeing any improvement or any truth in what you've been told? If not, it's time to let those higher belief systems that belong to other people, it's time to let those go at this lunation. Whether you like it or not, it is going to happen. And unfortunately, at this lunation, some people are going to have to sidestep what they truly believe in order to survive in this new world, in this new society, which has many different requirements in order for you to exist and make a living. So maybe some people will have to let go of their own true and die-hard belief system in order to just function, in order to just be able to function, make a living, and live in this new society. I advise you to go to astro.com to get your free natal birth chart so you can locate 12 degrees of Sagittarius in your own natal birth chart, so this all starts to make sense to you. I suggest that you watch the video that Melanie did. In that video, you'll be able to find out how it's going to affect you according to your ascendant. And if you're still confused after watching my video and Melanie's video, I suggest you go to my website, rachel-mayo.com, book a reading with me so that we can look at your chart and see how the eclipses are going to affect you according to your own natal birth chart. So book a reading with me. I'm waiting for you. The last time there was a solar eclipse around this degree was about 18 and a half years ago. This solar eclipse happened on June 1st, 2011, and this one happened at 11 degrees of Gemini. We all know what happened in 2011. Our entire world changed. The laws around traveling and traveling restrictions also changed after 9/11. As we can see, the same thing is happening all over again in a different way. There are major changes to our travel and restrictions, and perhaps even more coming in the months to follow, because this energy is going to stick around for about 6 months. You can always come back to this video, listen to it, and see how this energy continues to affect you. So let's move on to how it may affect you according to conjunctions to the planets that you may have in the sign of Sagittarius. I'm just going to concentrate in the sign of Sagittarius because this is where this South Node lunation is happening, and this is where you're most likely to feel this energy. Solar eclipses tend to affect the male figures in our life. Solar eclipses have masculine energy. Solar eclipses bring new beginnings in our life. And of course, in order to have a new beginning, there has to be some type of ending. There has to be some type of letting go. Especially with this eclipse, because it's on the south node. So something is definitely going to end. Something is going to be let go of. And when something comes to an end at an eclipse, you just have to let it go. It cannot be negotiated. It cannot come back. The whole meaning of an eclipse is that it's going to eclipse. It's going to take things out of your life. Things that have probably served their purpose, and they probably have no use in advancing your soul towards your north node. So if something ends, if a relationship ends, a job ends, don't beg. Just let it go. It cannot be brought back. When things like that are done or concluded at a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, it's destined for you to just let it go, because the lunar nodes are trying to push you towards a different direction in your life, the direction where you're supposed to go. So marriages and relationships can come to an end or begin at this lunation. Your job could end, or you could begin a new job at this lunation. This all depends on what house is being affected, the Sagittarius house in your own natal birth chart. If you're enjoying the content of this video, please press like and subscribe. Also make sure to share my videos with your friends and family, or perhaps on your social media. You just never know who needs to hear this message. You'll be helping them and you'll be helping my channel grow. I truly appreciate that. So let's discuss how the solar eclipse is going to affect you if it's conjuncting your sun. So if it's conjuncting your sun, that means you are a Sagittarius. And what is the sun? The sun is our life force. It's how others see us. The sun also rules our identity, our soul. It also rules over vitality. So essentially, something could happen in regards to the male the sun also rules the male figures in our life. So solar eclipses, as I said earlier, would tend to affect the male figures in our life. There could be a brand new beginning, perhaps with your father, or perhaps your authority figures, your bosses, or something to do with your standing in society, perhaps your job. And since it also rules our vitality, that means there could be a new beginning with your health. Perhaps you're going to start a life-changing diet at this time. Or perhaps you're going to release an old belief system that has to do with your eating habits. Perhaps you were a vegetarian, and at this lunation, you're going to decide to start eating beef. Perhaps you have to make this change because your health was failing and you needed the protein from the beef. So that's just a quick example of you leaving a belief system of being vegan or vegetarian and moving on to start a diet and believing in eating meat. Or it could be the reverse. Maybe you're going to decide to try and heal your body by changing your diet. So you might all of a sudden decide to stop eating meat. It could be something as simple as all the males in your family worked in law enforcement, and at this eclipse you might decide that that's not for you and decide to go and you may decide to become a doctor or some other career that is not related to your family legacy. And if it is your moon sign that is in the sign of Sagittarius, the moon is a natural ruler of the fourth house. This is our deepest, most intimate position in the zodiac. This is the heart of the zodiac. So this could have to do with certain belief systems that you had about your ancestry, perhaps your mother, your grandfather, or your parents. This could be you. This could be the point where you let go of a certain belief system that involves your ancestry, your mother, your father, your grandparents. Or you may decide to move away from home at this time. Or feelings of resentment towards your ancestry could come up at this time. You may decide to let go of old resentments so that you can heal your emotions at this time. If you've been wanting to move to a foreign country, perhaps for university or for a job, this could also be the time that you finally This could be the time that you finally move away from home and start a new life in a foreign country. So essentially you are letting go of your own birth home. Also have to keep in mind that the fourth house, especially if it's a conjunction to your IC, this could bring real deep transformation in your family line. If there are people who have been ill for a long time, this is the time that you perhaps will be letting go of whoever has had failing health. This is a point of release. If this lunation is conjunct your Mercury, that means first of all you are having a Mercury return. So you are going to get some news at this time. Also have to look at if you have any planets in the sign of Gemini where the transiting North Node is, and then also look at the sign of Virgo, because Mercury also rules Virgo. There might be something else going on there, and it's going to be aspecting this lunation by square. So some of the news you may get at this time might not necessarily be news you want to hear. So this is going to be doubly important if your Mercury is sitting here. Mercury rules over communication, immediate environment, your siblings, your neighbors, your neighborhood. So it could be anything in regards to those things. A communication including your computer, your phone, the internet, anything could come up surrounding those issues. Mercury is also the planet that rules over your name. So look to see so as I mentioned, the houses that Mercury rules is where you might see action at this lunation. Some of you could also have a name change because Mercury also rules over what you're called, your name. And if it's your Venus that's being activated at this lunation, that means you have your Venus at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. Remember, it could be a few degrees before or a few degrees after. What does Venus rule in a chart? In a man's chart, Venus rules the wife. So some of you could start something brand new, a brand new relationship with a woman, a relationship that's going to feel fated and that is probably going to lead into something more permanent. As I said earlier, Venus rules over what we love and value. That is our relationships, our money, how we make a living. It also rules the face, the voice. It also rules the mouth and what comes out of the mouth. What comes out of the mouth and what goes into the mouth. So essentially, it also rules what we eat. So you could have a brand new beginning in any of these areas. If this lunation is conjuncting your Mars, unfortunately Mars being conjunct the South Node kind of means you're losing some energy. You might lose energy, you might feel lethargic, or you might have some type of inflammation or just pure laziness, because this energy is asking you to let go of something that concerns with energy and vitality. Mars in a woman's chart can rule lovers, like that bad boy lover, not the marriage material type of lover, that bad boy who you should not be in a long-term relationship with because it's really not good for you. So some of you may meet somebody who fits that description, and it's going to be a very fated relationship because it's being activated by a solar eclipse. So you may have a brand new hot and passionate love affair begin at this time. This person is going to feel like somebody you've met in a past life. Unfortunately, in some situations, depending on how your chart is aspected, these relationships do not tend to last a very long time because it's something that you've already done in a past life. It will feel very fated and promising in the beginning, but the energy is going to wear down as the relationship develops because you've been there, done that. Same with Venus. If the relationship is starting on a South Node eclipse, it's going to feel really hot and fated, and then it's going to eventually fizzle out because you've been there, you've done that in a past life. This could also, for those people who don't believe in past life karma, this could be you getting back with a boyfriend or a girlfriend who you were with, a few years ago, perhaps. You've been there and you've done that. The excitement is going to wear off because it's something that comes from your past. If it's your Jupiter that is on the South Node, Jupiter is very powerful in his own sign of Sagittarius, so it may have a little twist to this one. Jupiter in a woman's chart rules the husband. Jupiter is the natural husband for a woman. Jupiter is your man. So if your Jupiter gets activated, it will activate joy and abundance. It will also probably bring you a relationship that's going to feel very fated and karmic. And it may actually lead into something serious or marriage for some. Because Jupiter on the South Node, in a sign that it rules, in a sign of Sagittarius where he's powerful, could have a better meaning than any other planet because he owns that house. It's also very possible that the relationship fizzles out simply because it's happening on the South Node. You have to examine a chart as a whole in order to see what else is going on at this time. The things that I mentioned, a higher belief system, education, the court system, judges, foreign lands, and travel, all those issues could come up, and they may bring you some type of joy because, of course, Jupiter is the Santa of the zodiac, so they may bring you some type of hope. So if you've been hoping to travel somewhere, you might get renewed hope in that area, even though there are some things you may still have to let go of. No matter what happens at this lunation, you have to let go of something in this area in order to move forward to your North Node. Saturn that is at this degree of the lunation in your birth chart, Saturn is a planet of restriction. Saturn on the South Node is actually favored because on the South Node we essentially want to let go of, because on the South Node is the point of letting go. So if you have your Saturn there, you have to look at what does Saturn rule in your chart in the houses of Capricorn and the house of Sagittarius. Perhaps you can do some type of letting go with issues that concern these three houses. So Saturn on the South Node is positive because it will be good to let go of things that have been limiting you or restricting you, or things that have just been really difficult to bring forward to the North Node. This is the point where you can let these limitations and restrictions go. Saturn rules over things like our authority figures, our standing in society, the work we do. It also rules over karma. So perhaps for some people, this could be a point where you could let go of negative karma at this South Node solar eclipse, and you'll be able to start moving towards your chosen destiny at this lunation. So let go of restrictions, let go of old karma, old belief systems that are no longer yours. And if it's Uranus that is at 12 degrees of Sagittarius, this is a point where also you can do some positive letting go of some forms of rebellion, or some forms of rebellious behavior. Always make sure to look at what this planet rules in your natal birth chart. Where is your Aquarius house? Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius and is currently transiting the sign of Taurus. So your Uranus being activated by this lunation is activating the Aquarius house and is also activating the Taurus house. So perhaps you've been having challenges in moving forward, learning new technology, learning new advanced ways of doing things. This might be time to let go of your stubbornness and move forward into the future and learn new technologies or new ways of doing things, different and more advanced ways of doing things. Or if you've been blocking yourself from interacting with people that are different from you, this might be the time to release that belief system that is associated with you only doing things in the limits of your own neighborhood. It's time to go a little bit further out of your own way of thinking and into the future. Uranus does rule technology and the future. So perhaps if you still have a flip phone, this might be the time for you to let go of that flip phone and come into the future and get a smartphone, get an iPhone or a Samsung. And if it's your Neptune that's located at 12 degrees of Sagittarius, this might be the time for you to really stop drinking that Kool-Aid that you've been probably drinking, that you've probably been making for yourself and dishing out to others. Neptune rules the area of delusion. Neptune is the ruler of the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the natural 12th house of the zodiac. This is the point where we self-sabotage. This is the point where we have our hidden enemies. Whatever it is that you're sabotaging yourself with is essentially your hidden enemy. And that could be drugs, it could be alcoholism, overeating, or anything that it is that you do behind closed doors in the hidden house. So this is the point where you can release the belief system around those things. Yes, drugs are no good for you. Being an alcoholic is not good for you. Overeating is not good for you. It has negative consequences. And if you've been struggling with those issues, this is the point where you can release those issues. Oops. And if you've been struggling with the truth in those areas that I've mentioned, if your belief system about those things has been somewhat skewed, this is the time that you can let go of your old belief system around those issues and find some type of healing. At this lunation, some of you will go and seek treatment. Some of you will go into rehab, or some of you could also go and see a therapist, a psychologist. Get some healing. Release old belief systems. If you have Pluto around 12 degrees of Sagittarius, this is the time to go into deep transformation. Transform your life by letting go of old belief systems. You also have to look into your chart where Scorpio is located in your birth chart, because Pluto rules over the sign of Scorpio. So something in that house where Pluto rules and where Pluto is currently transiting in the sign of Capricorn. Examine those houses and see what's going on. Fortunately, this lunation is not aspecting the signs of Capricorn and Scorpio. However, they're being aspected by Mars and Neptune. So whatever it is that has to be transformed in the house of Sagittarius, where the South Node solar eclipse is happening, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to do so, because you have all this supporting energy. You have all this other supporting energy, supporting aspects at this lunation. So go ahead and make that transformation. Release whatever is no longer functioning or bringing you towards your destiny. Let it go so that you can move towards the North Node in Gemini. Just remember to hit subscribe, like this video. It really helps my channel grow. It also helps with the algorithm, so I really appreciate that. Also, please make sure to share my videos on your social media or with your friends and family. Make sure to ring the bell icon so that you can be notified whenever I upload another video. You're going to want to watch the Venus retrograde video coming soon. Thank you.